much does a car weigh?
So I added this little wing.
Yes. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sub 2 Club. Today we're here with Bryan Ditzler.
Ditzler's correct.
Ditzler.
Yep.
German last name?
German, yeah, German origin there.
German origin. Okay, so we have these beautiful, big blue American muscle cars.
Yeah, I think I like blue, huh?
Tell me how you got into, I guess, cars first and then track days.
So my cars definitely was my father. This was his car when I was growing up, so he had that all my childhood. He owned a shop as well. He was an auto guy, so I was around sports cars a lot. Man, he would do donuts with me in this thing in the school parking lot sometimes, like in front of the teachers and shit. Like, so that sparked my interest in cars. And then, you know, my uncle, he had Corvettes, so that sparked my interest in Corvettes.
Gotcha. And you also have other cars as well, right? You're pretty like diverse in your car collection.
My E46 M3 out there, my Volkswagen GTI right there, a Nissan 240 SX, S14.
Gotcha.
Keeping it zinky.
Yeah, growing up, I guess you were always into more of a muscle cars than imports, or how did it go?
I'll admit, up until the Fast and Furious came out, I was more into American cars, okay? But then Fast and Furious rolled out, and you got the Eclipse, the RX-7, which I admittedly thought in my young age was a Corvette. And that sparked my interest for all of that too. And I was like, wow, the first car I actually bought for myself with my own money was a Honda Civic.
Okay.
Then the second car I bought with my own money was the Nissan that I own now.
Right.
Okay, I didn't buy the Corvette until I was like 25, 26, mainly because it was out of my price range at the time.
Right. How did you first want to like get into track and drive on track?
So I started with a little bit of drag racing. Okay, down here in San Diego, we used to have Race Legal. And then I did an autocross event at Qualcomm, and I was like, wow, this is where it's at right here. But then I was like, all right, well, autocross is, no offense to autocrossers, but it's just too small for me, and it's too short, you know? And I started looking at racetracks, you know, Auto Club Speedway, Buttonwillow, Big Willow, and all that. And that's why I was like, you know what? I was watching videos. I was like, this is my life that I want right here. Like, this is where you really hone your skills as a driver. Like driving in a straight line when you got a X amount of horsepower, yeah, it requires some skill, but driving on a track, it doesn't matter what horsepower you have, what car you have, it requires skill either way.
Right. You went to Autocross Speedway. Was that the first one, or did you go to other tracks before that?
So rest in peace, Auto Club Speedway. I'm gonna miss that track. The first track I actually went to here in SoCal was Buttonwillow.
Okay.
And it was in the Corvette. Many years ago. It was completely stock. It was just on some Nito Invo tires. I wasn't out there chasing times or anything. It was like 7 years ago. I can't even remember my time. Probably 208, 210 maybe. Definitely wasn't sub 2. But I got this car, inherited it from my father after he passed away. And then, I don't know, I just looked at it. I got it home. I had it in the garage, and I said, this is the car that I want to build into a time attack road racing car. I don't know why, because it's a 54-year-old chassis, you know. It's not the most competitive thing you can get into, but in my head it's like, I'm not trying to be the fastest thing out there, but I damn well look like the coolest thing out there. So yeah, I built this thing up, and then the first track I took it to was Auto Club Speedway, mainly because it's within driving distance of here. It's only an hour 45 from me. And I want to say Auto Club Speedway is what became my favorite track, because it was the first one I hit with this car.
Right. Do you have a dream car?
You're actually looking at 3 of them here. The C5 Z06, like I said, my uncle, he had one, and the first time he took me for a ride in it, I was, I think, 13 years old, and like that. Dream car. Had to have one, man. The Camaro, obviously, that just has so much sentimental value to me growing up with it, with my father. It's always been the car that I have to have. And then the E46 M3, always loved that chassis. It's just beautiful, timeless design. It's kind of a pig of a car. No offense to people who love them. Like, it's not the fastest thing I own, but it definitely is one of the most stylish.
Gotcha.
But of the dream cars I don't have, it's tough. There's so many to choose from. Like, you're making me narrow down my diversity here into one. I have been after a four-door Skyline for many years. It's not the pinnacle of my dream cars, but it's definitely the one I kind of want to get into next. So
Gotcha.
I'd say a four-door R32 Skyline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why four-door?
So the two doors, as beautiful as they are, they're kind of just, they're overdone. They're everywhere, man. But when's the last time you saw a clean, kitted, lowered, four-door Skyline that had like a either 2JZ or RB26 or some engine swap in it? That's your family car now.
Yes.
Now you can have a 500 plus horsepower family car.
So right now we're at 2:02 03 with this thing.
203 without me driving it. That would be my buddy Jose, my good friend Jose of Kaizen Motorsports. He was driving it that day. He managed a 203. I managed a 208, just cruising around the track. We were having some brake issues, some tire issues, so I wasn't trying to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah, I mean, it takes extreme amount of work to make older cars go fast. And I wouldn't be harsh on that lap time because that's fast in my opinion. And I like to see your progress with it in the future. I mean, definitely has sub 2 in it, so
Definitely.
you know, just matter of finding the right day, making sure everything works, and you're there.
Easy,
so.
yeah. The way it sits right now, I can promise like a 158 in it. Easy.
Cool. All right, well, let's show the car. All right, Brian, this is you said it was a 68?
Yes, sir. 68 Camaro SS.
SS. Wow. It is beautiful, and I could listen to that exhaust all day. But you said it's not lumpy enough?
I get told that, yeah. Doesn't have enough chop. Like, okay. You see my power band though.
All right, walk us through it.
So, looking at the exterior, it's pretty basic. I mean, it's 54-year-old paint job. You can see I got the C706 brakes there on the front and the back. That's probably like my favorite and a lot of people's favorite mod because those brakes are just massive. The brake ducting that I added to the front spoiler there, that's a factory front spoiler. I just ended up having to cut it out for the brake ducting,
Nice.
which I don't really need anymore with these giant brakes. But I had a smaller Willwood brakes before and they really got hot.
Got it.
If you look at the hood vents there, factory, they're not functional, but there's a company called Track Spec that makes functional hood vents. Usually, yeah, everyone's heard of them. So I customized the factory ice trays, is what they call them, to fit over those hood vents. So now I got a functioning hood.
That is neat. Okay.
And of course the hood pins to keep it down. These cars, all the cars back in the day, you could just access the hood through the front here. And there's a little handle, boom, you can pop the hood.
So no release inside?
There's no release on the inside. And okay. I didn't sit well with that, knowing I was gonna put a very expensive LS engine in here. So I got locking hood pads, hood pins for it. Sorry, locking hood pins for it.
Gotcha.
And then of course my Sparco tow straps. When I blew the engine at Auto Club Speedway, I didn't have any tow hitch, tow straps, nothing. So they had to connect to my lower control arm. And it destroyed my front splitter there. So I was like, I'm not gonna let that happen again if I have to get towed off. And of course you got your dent stings and all the stuff that makes it beautiful.
The history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff like right here, that would be my father. Not exactly sure what he hit, but.
Hope he was having fun.
I guarantee he was having fun. That's all he ever did in this car.
And what about your suspension setup?
The suspension is all from Ride Tech.
Okay.
It is coilovers on the front, coilovers in the back. It's a 4-link in the rear, upper and lower tubular control arms, sway bar front and back. It's pretty basic entry-level suspension. They're single adjustable coilovers. I've been meaning to upgrade to their triple adjustables, but I haven't because I know it's just going to be so much suspension tuning at that point. It's not going to be fun.
Do you know the spring rates?
Yes, I'm at 800 pounds in the front and 275 in the back. I'm up from what once was, I believe they were 725 in the front and 225 in the back. But I plan on adding aero to this car, so I needed to increase my spring rates. The differential also, I guess you can kind of consider this part of the suspension. Not really, actually. It's a full.
It's a solid axle.
It's a solid axle 12 bolt, but it's a full float axle kit.
Okay.
I used to have a lot of problems with brake pad knockback on the track with this car. Every time I came out of a corner, pedal to the floor. I had to give it the old 2 or 3 or 4 pumps, right? So the axles, the way they're set up, they were bolt-in axles, but they still have enough shift in them on the back to give me that pad knockback. So a full float axle kit was the only way to get rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing's leaking. No leaks, right? Yes, it's beautiful.
Since we mentioned the diff, is that aftermarket diff?
So the internal, yeah. Everything on the inside of it is aftermarket. The center section's a Eaton True Track with a 390 gear ratio.
Okay.
The only thing factory left on this thing is the actual housing itself. Yeah, this thing's been cut up a little bit here and there, but it's got a forged yoke on it. It's been beefed up quite a bit.
Yeah. You got a little LED love in the back.
Yeah, I gotta be safe on the streets, right?
Yeah.
You should have seen the factory bulbs on this thing. You can barely even see them when they're on.
So the brake you mentioned are out of a C7?
C7 Z06, okay. Yeah. They're shared also with the CTSV, the 1LE Camaros. There's a few cars that actually put these brakes on. I think, what was that old electric car brand? The Karma Fisker?
Oh yeah.
They actually had the same ones too.
Gotcha. They're massive.
And they're cheap too. You can get these brand new calipers, Brimbos, genuine Brimbos from Amazon for $400 each.
Wow.
Yeah. Although, I'll admit, they're not up there like the AP Racing brakes and Endless and all that stuff. They are a monoblock aluminum caliper, but they're on the heavy side.
And the wheels?
So these are 18s.
Okay.
They're 18 by 9s in the front, 18 by 9.5 in the back.
Oh, surprisingly not
Narrow.
not as huge as I thought.
So I am just limited to width right now in the front and the back due to the front subframe and then the rear. So I need a mini tub kit in the back if I wanted to fit a wider wheel. So I can do that. That's actually the easiest part. I can fit a 10.5. I want to end up being at a square 315 all around. The back is the easy part. The problem is the front. You're not going to get a 315 on the front of this car without going to an aftermarket subframe. And an aftermarket subframe is going to run me about $9,000. Plus, you got to think of the fact that I'm getting new wheels at that point too. And these forge lines, these are RS3s. They were $4,300. So I'd end up spending another $4,000 in wheels. It's just, it all trickles downhill.
Yes.
But the forge line, great wheel. It's a little heavy. It's a 3-piece wheel. It's not really one of their wheels that they make that's meant for racing. I like the way they look. I originally wanted some works for it, but they were a 3-month wait from Japan, and I didn't have time for that.
Looks like you're running 265 in the front. I'm guessing 295 in the rear?
275 in the back.
275, okay. What kind of brake pads are you running?
So the brake pads are actually not ones that you can buy off the shelf from any company. Jose introduced me to probably the same guy he's talked to you about.
CSG? Ganesh.
Ganesh. Yeah. So Ganesh makes these brake pads.
Gotcha.
So there's no name for them. The Ganesh pad. I don't know.
And they work pretty good?
Oh God, they're fantastic. Awesome. The only thing I can compare them to are Willwood's BP30s. Okay, on my old Willwood setup. And then Carbotech XP8s. 8s or 10s? I can't remember if I had 8s or 10s. Which one's the higher one?
I'm guessing 10.
Yeah.
I haven't really used Corvette, but
yeah, so
I'll do the search.
Carbotech were the ones that I was having problems with at Buttonwillow. That the first track day I ran with them at Auto Club Speedway, when I sub-2'd, okay, they were amazing, okay, but then took them to Buttonwillow the next time and they were just, felt like glass. Like they just were no bite, they weren't stopping, it was sketchy. So that's when Jose convinced me to go with Ganesh. Told me about Ganesh, how he used to do, you know, Brembo's brake pads for IMSA, NASCAR, Formula One. I'm like, okay, this dude's got a resume. I'll give him a shot. And man, let me tell you, these pads have bite.
Good.
And they're so easy to modulate through the pedal. And I'm very upset that I haven't gotten a chance to try the new manual brake setup with these pads yet. Because I gotta leave.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Diego Garcia. It's a little island. Actually, it's not even an island. It's too small to be called an island. It's an atoll in the south of India, 7 degrees south of the equator. Yeah.
And you're serving the country.
Yeah,
right?
I'm active duty Navy. I've been active duty for 16 years. So
Okay.
I'll be gone for a year, racking up my money. Okay, buying a ton of car parts that are gonna sit in my garage, waiting for me to come home to put on this thing.
Well, thank you for your service.
I appreciate your support, man.
All right, well,
And now it's on to
here it
the
is.
engine.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
Where the sub-2s come from. So this is a built LS3. This is my second LS3 I've had for this car. The first one was just a basic cam only. Didn't do anything else to it but the valve springs and the rocker arms. And that last engine was making 456 and I think 430 something to the wheels, right? It's pretty decent power for just a small cam only LS. And then I was at ACS, the very last track day of mine at ACS, rest in peace. I was chasing a sub 150. Okay, I managed to do my last lap of 153, and then coming out of the last turn onto the back straight, pop the engine. Piston number, what was it? 3 and 4, gone, reduced to atoms. Literally, I have the bag of the shattered pistons still in my garage right now as like keepsake. Yeah, blew the engine. So then I ended up getting a brand new LS3 crate engine from Chevy because I couldn't find any blocks. The blocks were too expensive. If I wanted to piece everything together, I'd end up spending more. So I just got the crate engine, and then I did CP pistons, I did Eagle rods, I sent the heads to Frankenstein for porting, I got a custom grind cam from Crowder. We talked about cam specs for forever over the phone because I wanted a specific power band. You should see my power band right now. It shoots up to 5,000 and stays all the way flat until redline. I don't lose a single horsepower to redline. It's a beautiful power band. Ported the intake, got ported fuel injectors. They're 80 pounds now, up from 46 because I'm on E85. I'm actually running flex fuel. It's the only way I'll do it. It's a great engine, man.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing left stock inside the engine is technically the crankshaft, but even that I sent out to cryo heat to get micro polished and some cryo treatment on it to make it a little bit stronger. Okay.
So how much power are you making now?
Oh, so this one right now makes 505 to the wheels and what was it, 476 torque, if I recall correctly. So it's a pretty big jump. I wasn't chasing power with this. I was mainly chasing 500 to 550 wheel is what I was aiming for. Okay, and I wanted reliability out of it. Okay, so in the future, when this car has aero on it, when it is just not going any faster without horsepower, that's when it's gonna end up getting a Pro Charger on it, and we're gonna shoot for probably 650, 700.
All right.
And then build from there. There's stages to this,
right?
The way I see. You don't want to just jump to 1,000 horsepower, okay? I'm not like, what's his name, Ferris with the C6 Corvette that's setting lap records all over the place with his 1,300 horsepower Corvette that has enough aero to keep a space shuttle on the ground. Yeah. I'm not there yet, but I will be hopefully someday soon.
For sure. How much does a car weigh?
So the car weighs 2,970 pounds.
Wow.
Shocking.
That's surprisingly
Yes.
really light.
People look at these old all-metal cars and think, damn, they're pigs, 4,000 pounds, all right? It's not a Challenger. No offense, guys. It started its life before I took the back seat out, before the cage, before the Sparco racing seat. I think the first time I had it weighed when it was finished was 3120, I think. Okay. And then after that, I mean, I had to cut out some of the inner fender wells for the tires, for the ride height. The back seat finally came out because it's like, I don't need it. Little things here and there. The brakes also. Yeah, it all just added up. Shaved a couple 100 pounds off of it.
How much lower do you think you can get it down to?
I don't know. I'm thinking with the carbon fiber hood that I have being made right now, carbon fiber front bumper. I can't do a carbon rear bumper because that's where my toe strap is on. It'll rip it to pieces. The different Forge Line wheels I'm going to get are going to shave a couple pounds. I eventually want to be on some AP Racing brakes that will shave probably another 50. I'm going to get a matching QRTK Sparco seats for both passenger seats, so that'll drop another 25, 30 pounds. I think in the end, this car is probably going to weigh closer to 27 flat.
Wow.
Which is...
That's pretty light.
Light, especially when you have 500 wheel horsepower.
Yeah.
That's a lot of car to handle.
Yeah.
And then considering the fact that you don't have any nannies on board this car.
Right,
There's no
right.
traction control, stability control, ABS, nothing. It's you in the car and your foot. That's it. It's the only thing controlling it.
Comparing this car to your C5 when you're driving it on the track, do you see, is it easier for you to drive the C5 versus the Camaro?
Easier if I want to go slower, yeah. I actually took the Corvette to a track day at Houston while I was there for school last month. MSR Houston, shout out, great track out there. And I was taking the car pretty slow because I had to drive it back here to San Diego, okay? But the car felt wonderful. The brakes were decent. They're on Carbotech XP8s right now, all right? I was on a street tire. The car rotated beautifully. It was smooth. But when I really wanted to get into it and push it a little bit more, it overheats like that. Okay, and the brakes weren't up to it. ABS was activating constantly. Like I would be light on the brake and it would still pump me into the corners. So comparing the two, like when you want speed, go for the Camaro. Okay, if I want to just have a nice light cruising track day, the Corvette.
Got it. Man, it's beautifully done.
All built in this garage right here.
Oh. Oh, show us the inside.
Yeah. The inside is just very basic interior.
Love it though.
Factory pedals, with the exception of the gas pedal. I had to do a drive-by-wire pedal from a CTSV. Got a Holley 7-inch digital display. The whole car, the whole engine's run off of Holley Terminator X-Max. The containment seat from Sparco, the R350 wheel from Sparco with a NRG's SFI compliant keyway quick release, okay? I just want to put that out there, people. It's SFI compliant, so it ain't no cheap knockoff piece of junk. I know NRG's team seems to be questionable for everybody. 6-point harnesses.
Okay.
I got my Hans device inside, so safety first, right?
Yes.
This will eventually be a full caged car, but I only did the roll bar for now just because I needed a harness bar.
Who makes the roll bar?
So this was custom made from Swift Fabrication.
Okay.
They're out in the Santee area.
Okay. Oh, great fitment.
Yeah, we're eventually going to kick it to the front, do some door bars, probably end up getting rid of this panel right here. Or I could just get carbon fiber doors. That will take off 150 pounds right there.
Yeah. Love these door panels.
Yeah, the idea for the interior when I first started the build was just a nice blend of modern and then old school. These panels right here are modeled just after what you could get from a deluxe panel back in the 60s. Like, the dash pad looks really similar to the factory dash pad. Like I said, I kept the factory pedals, the factory center console there, the factory looking air conditioning and radio and cover bezel.
Beautiful.
Now when I get back from Diego Garcia, I'll have a backseat delete panel waiting for me from Dussault Designs, so I can, you know, clean that up. Like, I know it's a track car, it's dedicated on track, it doesn't have to be pretty, but I still like things to be presentable.
Yes.
So you guys have probably heard of Dussault Designs. They have a nasty 67 Camaro. They're low-key my inspiration, I'm not gonna lie, okay? They were with that Ferris guy at Global Time Attack at Coda a couple months back. I think they ended up doing like a 208 at Coda in their 67 Camaro, which is incredible. Yeah. Okay, at Coda for a 67 Camaro. I think they end up making like 1,000 horsepower, but if you saw the aero on this car, you'd be like, holy shit.
Show us your trunk.
The trunk is very basic.
Yeah.
Nothing back there but a battery and a sub.
Gotta have some music, right?
Yeah. So you'll notice that the bars, the kick bars for that the roll cage, the roll bar come down here, but then they're connected right here, and they go down to the center. The way the 4-link is set up on RideTech is the cradle that sits up in the frame of the car. Your sway bar mounts connect to that.
Oh.
So these cars are really thin sheet metal, okay? It's not really sturdy. They're unibody cars. You'll hear old people tell you about how when they drove them, they could feel the chassis flexing just driving down the highway, right? So I was like, okay, well, if I'm connecting my sway bar here to this, and it's connected to the floor, because there's only 2 bolts holding it into that floor, I'm like, it might be a weak spot. So I asked them, like, hey, can you brace that off of there and then connect it? So now it's kind of triangulated and makes it a little bit stiffer and stronger. I noticed the first track day, once I got back on, it did stiffen up the car a lot. I mean, since before I had this in there, I think I was consistent 158s at Auto Club Speedway. And then the next time I went out with all of this stuff done to it, the seat, the bars, all that stuff, I was down to 153. I don't blame it all on that. I mean, most of that is also my driving ability and getting more comfortable and knowledgeable with the car and the way it handles. The rear sway bar added definitely helped. Some people say don't do it. Some people say the differential acts as a sway bar in itself, but realistically it doesn't.
Full-size battery.
I don't know. It's just a Duralast AGM I got from AutoZone real quick. I got whatever they said I would need for a 2008 Corvette, because the original engine that I got was a used LS3 from a 2008 Corvette. I figured, it'll work, right?
Yeah.
Electricity is electricity.
Exactly.
And then my removable amp, or sub and amp right here with a quick release. This video blew up on TikTok. It got like 3 million views for some reason. I was like, yeah, this is my quick release sub. You just disconnect it right here. Disconnect the reusable zip ties. Okay. And then boom.
Oh, those are reusable.
Yeah.
Neat.
And you just pull it out.
Okay.
And boom, we hop on track. Okay. The only reason I do it, I would leave it in there, but I don't like the idea of only zip ties holding this sub down while I'm, you know, putting over a G of force onto this car through the corners. If that comes loose, I don't want to deal with that. That's a 40-pound box that'd be free to do whatever it wants inside of this car. And I like my bass. I gotta have my bass.
Oh yeah, gotta have some bass, right?
Because I drive it to the track. I don't want to do 2-hour drives with no music.
Any other plans besides what we talked about?
Yes. The next thing I'm doing with this car is fitting a chassis-mounted wing.
Nice.
I actually have it over there in the corner.
Oh, nice.
It's from 9 Lives Racing.
Okay.
Okay. Johnny, great guy over there, sent me a wing and a whole kit for it. I just have not had the time, unfortunately, to get it done because this is a factory panel right here, and I've already cut into enough factory panels, so I'm just going to replace this with a carbon fiber trunk. I'm going to keep the duckbill because it's classic and it looks good.
Oh yeah.
All right, so then I have to figure out a way how I'm going to mount this to where I can still use the trunk. Okay, because the wing is going to sit right about here. All right, and we'll figure it out.
Awesome.
I'm going to take it to my man, Ilk Fab, Eric Anderson, and see what he can do. He's done plenty of chassis mount wings on classic cars before. And then I'm trying to get with RS Future to work on a custom front splitter for this car.
Awesome. Yeah. Good.
Gotta balance it out.
Yeah. All right, let's briefly get into the C5 bed here. Z06.
I think you like these or something?
I love these cars, man. I think it's one of the most beautiful American cars ever made.
They are. They're timeless style. They'll never go out of style.
What have you done to this?
Honestly, not much at all.
Yeah, it doesn't need much, right?
Yeah,
It's a Z06.
This car is quite a lot. So the shocks are C6 Z06 shocks. I've done the front upper control arm bushings to energy suspensions, and the only reason I did that because I was chasing down a clunk. God, it has exhaust. It has long tubes, Veraram cold air intake. It's been tuned. It makes 380 to the wheels, not a lot. C6 Z06 seats in it, aftermarket sub and head unit. That's it. Look, I'm still on the factory brakes.
Yeah, these cars really don't need much.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when I took it to MSR, it'd been so long since I've tracked this car, I forgot how beautifully the car just rotates through the corners. It wants to do it. I mean, it's a 50-50 weight distribution on it. Turn off all the traction control, let the car eat. It's beautiful, which I recommend for anybody who tracks these cars to turn off traction control. They have a very bad habit of burning through the rear rotors with it on because the ABS is constantly trying to correct that rotation. Plus, who needs traction control, right?
We got Nissan, Volkswagen, M, and Jags over here.
Look, I'll even let you see just how stock this thing is.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing special to it whatsoever. 116,000 miles. Like I said, I just did my road trip to Texas and back and didn't skip a beat. The only thing, like I said, it was an impulse buy. I was like, man, I want another car. The Camaro's done. I don't have anything else really to work on. I'm like, man, I've always wanted these E46 M3s. I won't lie, I'm not a big BMW fan, okay? I prefer Mercedes and the AMGs over the M models, but the E46 M3, you cannot take away from just how beautiful it is. And I know it's dirty right now. It's been sitting outside forever. I haven't been driving it because it developed a misfire in cylinder number 3 that is not caused by spark plug or coil pack. So I just, between everything else I got going on, I have not had time to diagnose it. Part of me is very likely going to put that LS that I'm building in there into this because it's the only way to make them reliable. But yeah, it's a smooth car.
Yeah.
It's not my fastest, but it's beautiful.
All right.
I got to change the transmission, you know, put a T56 in it or a CD09. Get some brakes also, because once I add another 120 horsepower, I'm gonna need some brakes.
Well, let's cut to the chase and shoot the car that I came here for.
Yeah. The infamous Box Edition Volkswagen GTI. This car will not die, no matter what you do to it. It won't die. And of course, you know I gotta put the traction on there.
Gotta have that.
It really confuses people. They're like, ain't no way this dude's tracking this car, man. Ain't no way. Dents and dings. My beautiful mother did this. Thank you, Mom.
Whoa, it's quite a aero package here.
Yeah, I noticed on the track that I was getting a lot of understeer, and I figured it was from not having enough downforce on the front. So I added this little wing.
Yes.
Okay? And yes, the winglets are on backwards. This thing is coming up on 300,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
engine is it?
It's the 1.8T
Okay.
AWW.
The turbo is strong too?
I wouldn't say strong. If you floor this car, you can feel the boost. Like if I had a boost gauge, you could probably see the boost go from, I think max is like 14 PSI, right? It'll go from 14 to like 7 to 14 to 7. You can feel it in the car. It'll go, fast, slow, fast, slow. It's like, it cannot regulate boost pressure. But this is my A to B car, man.
Awesome.
I need to go to work. I take this.
Yeah.
I'm decently nice to it. It handles shockingly well. It's on Coney springs and struts. Lowered, I think, 1.5 inches. It has a constant constant oil leak, nonstop. There's always a pan underneath this car. I was gonna get it fixed, and I got hit with a $5,000 quote because they basically said every seal in this engine is leaking. Okay, the front main, the rear main, which means the trans has to come out, like every oil seal you can think of. Like, yeah, it's all leaking. I'm like, if it dies, it dies.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic car. 5-speed too. Heated seats also. Yeah. Probably my most luxurious car.
You gotta get your sub-2 sticker on this.
Yes, I do. Yeah. People see that and they just, I hope they know this car is a joke. The only serious thing on this car is this little guy right here.
Oh, that's cool.
Been holding on for dear life for 7 years.
I got a couple questions to ask you. First question is, what does Sub-2 Club mean to you?
So Sub-2 Club to me obviously means Sub-2. You go to a track, Sub-2's the goal. All right, that was my goal for every track I hit, with the exception of like Big Willow and Streets of Willow, because if you're not Sub-2 in those, something's very wrong. All right. The very first time there, I did a 138. Like, geez, on our 888Rs.
Oh, that's quick. Yeah.
And we know how bad those tires are. But yeah, it takes skill to hit Sub-2, especially on tracks like Buttonwillow. And tracks like ACS. Auto Club Speedway is a big track. I mean, people think that big, giant straight that you got is where you're going to make up all your time. But once you hit turn 1 and turn 2, that's where it separates the men from the boys, because that bank at 130 is just, ooh. But yeah.
Okay.
It means skill, practice, right?
Okay. And last question is, what things about life do you learn through cars?
Patience, definitely patience, and then rechecking your work and studying, because you guys know I built this in my garage twice now. Okay, I'm on my 3rd engine build in there that's going to go into a different car. And research everything, okay, before you make a move. That's what it's taught me. All right.
Any advice to the newer guys that are starting out, getting into track days?
So my best advice is, don't get bit by a mod bug. All right. Don't think that you have to, do brakes, aero, horsepower mods, and all this stuff to your car to get on track. The 3 things you need, I'll just keep it 3. Okay, is a good set of tires. Okay, nothing more than 200 treadwear though. Or sorry, nothing less than 200 treadwear. All right, you don't need some Hoosier A7s out there your first time on the track. Brake fluid and clutch fluid if you got a clutch. All right, and then brake pads. That's it. That's all you need.
It's a really good point.
Yeah, and then you just go out there and you hone your driver mod, your driver ability. People don't understand that cars like the E46 M3, the C5 Z06 in factory form are more car than any novice will ever need. You don't have to do anything to them, but work on yourself.
Right.
The car will outdrive you.
Any final thing you want to say to the audience?
Just be safe, all right? Don't buy cheap parts. Don't skip on safety, right? I have like, I think $4 grand in safety stuff in this car just alone. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's better than being dead or on fire, right?
Yeah.
And don't let your ego get to you. if it's your first time on track, don't go out there thinking that you're gonna beat the GT3 RS or something out there, right? Like, just listen to your instructor, which you should have one if it's your first time, and learn, better yourself, right?
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Bryan.
you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to see your S14 next time.
Ah, God, hopefully. I'm telling you, ask Jose. If everybody texts him and constantly reminds him, he'll get it done.
All right, I'm gonna leave Instagram here below for Jose Kaizen. Everybody should DM him, bug him about the S14.
He's
Thank
gonna
you
lose
guys.
his mind.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. See you at the next one.